Intro, Part 2, Born to Die, World is a Fuck, Kill 'Em All 1989, I am Trash Man. Tyler.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea how lucky we are that when the recording was screwed up, I caught it before we started or before we got halfway through this time?
I have no clue how lucky we are, Sean.
Well, remember that one time that we went through the whole episode?
I do. I remember that. That was just not the other day.
Yeah, that was some time ago. Holy crap. Oh, holy crap. Anyways, you're drinking coffee, I'm drinking Redemption High Rye Bourbon.
How fancy is that?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Anyway, yeah. So, I believe you were going to talk about, Hershey.
I was. Hershey, say the name of the person again.
It was, I closed it down.
Faye
Faye
something?
Johnstone.
John Stones, because of the nuts.
She's got a penis.
She's got a penis. She's got that zing. There's just one thing. She's got a penis. Yeah, so I think the thing... people always get mad when men talk about this, apparently. Yeah. But as someone who's married to a woman and who was birthed by a woman... and has 3 children who are eventually going to become woman.
Become woman.
It's become woman. It's kind of insulting that they're just like, hey, we have this huge population of the world.
I thought you were going to say huge dude.
We have this huge dude. This huge population of the world, right?
Approximately half.
Approximately half of these people in the world are women. We're going to say half say that they're women for the sake of my argument again. And of the part that says that they're a woman is a shockingly low percentage that was born male that claims to be a woman. Shockingly low. So you had to go and find someone that says they're a woman that was born as a man.
I could absolutely hear that swallow.
That's what I was swallowing. You had to dig down deep, right, into this fraction of a percentage of womanhood. Out of the several billion women, you had to go find one that was a dude. Say
she's a guy, so...
say International Women's Day stuff. Okay. Well, so here's my problem with all this. That means you were fighting very hard to say, hey... how inclusive are we? Here's how inclusive are we. That means this was nothing but a virtue signal, and you trying to say, look at the good stuff that we're doing. Look how progressive and forward-thinking we are. We're so progressive, we found a dude to do a woman's job better than a woman because of not wanting to be misogynistic. We are now just saying, you know who the best women are? Guys. So... that right there is already very frustrating for me because the virtue signaling gets me more than anything. And I think the reason why it gets to me, I was thinking about it last night. It's because we grew up in a, I don't want to say society, community, whatever, where virtue signaling is kind of like the currency. And not necessarily the church that we went to, but a lot of it. A lot of that denomination as a whole is very much that way. So it's what I dislike the most about it. So getting outside of it really makes me be like, okay, good. Now I'm not a part of that particular thing anymore because it really bothered me. And you and I have some disagreements on that, and that's perfectly fine, yada, yada, yada stuff and things. But I really hate it because of all that. I really can't get into it. It really bothers me. So to see a company be like, we're making a decision for a global campaign, and it is based around nothing but virtue signaling. There's nothing else they're gaining from this. They didn't go for a good percentage. Again, not a good. They didn't like, oh, you know what? We were looking for a representative, and we found the best one. We found the best one possible. We did all of the research we needed to do. We did all of the looking around that we should do, and we found the best person for the job. No, you found the most woke version of what you thought you should do for this job. That's what you did.
Honestly,
And that annoys me. It annoys me so much.
Honestly, though, this genuinely is the logical conclusion of feminism. Because what
about men being better than women? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, kind of, yeah. Because what's
also for legal reasons, that's a joke.
Because because if you think about not because like this is the logical response to it, this is the logical end of it, or the logical conclusion of it, I should say. Not because it makes it sound like it's over. It's logical conclusion. Because what is feminism? It's telling women that you're not as good as you could be unless you do man things. Feminism is telling women you're not good unless you're not good unless you're a man. And so therefore the logical conclusion of that line of reasoning is the best woman is a man.
That is kind of a bonkers thing to think about. But it kind of does feel that way. It really, really does. And it's another reason why it's just so stupid. It's just, I don't know. There's so much about the ideology that I think we've talked about enough times to never have to talk about it again, really. And it annoys me that stuff is happening enough for me to feel like it needs to be talked about. But I hate the virtue signaling. I hate it. If we just take everything off the table, take everything that they think about it off the table for me entirely, and you'll still have, this was a virtue signal. You had to dig down deep to find this answer, and screw you for that.
Yeah. Now, I wonder though, doing something and doing it solely for the optics of it, is that what makes virtue signaling wrong? Because I think what makes
virtue signaling annoying, for sure.
So I think what makes virtue signaling wrong is well, so for one thing, if what you're doing is good, then even if you're doing if you're doing the good thing for the wrong reasons, if your actions are good, I don't think it's a problem. So if virtue signaling was that is, if the actions that these people were doing through virtue signaling, if they were actually objectively good actions, then I wouldn't have nearly as big of a problem with it, even though their reasons were stupid. And then they also had because and also, is virtue signaling wrong because it's just done for the optics, or is it wrong because it's disingenuous? Like, these people aren't actually, they don't actually believe what they're saying. They're just putting it out there because they're just putting it out there because it's it's the accepted thing, or it's people want it. There are certain people who want it to be the accepted thing, and so they say, "Hey, look at me! I'm part of this accepted group," but they don't actually believe it. So is it wrong because it's disingenuous, or? I mean, well, that's why it would be morally wrong, but is that why it's annoyingly wrong? Because here's why I ask. You get even though it's kind of just making fun of it, you get things like Jeremy's razors or Jeremy's chocolate. That is specifically there to make fun of that and to act in opposition to it. So what you're seeing is besides profiteering, which, you know, good on Jeremy Boring for having these great ideas, he was doing those things really because he didn't expect either of those things to take off like that, like they did.
Right. That was for the lulz.
Yeah, he did it. So really, you say he did it just for the optics of it, to show, hey, look, I'm doing this thing in opposition to this other thing. Now, so therefore, the only difference between what he's doing and what they're doing is that there are only two differences. One, we like him and we don't like them. And two, he's not being disingenuous. He genuinely believes the things that he's saying. And so I'm not annoyed at all at Jeremy Boring for making those things. But if the reason why virtue signaling is annoying is because it is done just for the optics, shouldn't I be annoyed with Jeremy for doing that?
I think okay, so here's where the nuance really gets in there for me, and I genuinely was thinking a lot about this because there are things that are done strictly for the optics, and this relates back to what I was saying about like the holiness Pentecostal denomination that we grew up in. There are a ton of things that have no other purpose than the optics. And that can go, there's a bunch of layers to that we would just end up talking about this all day if we got into, because some of those are important optics.
Yes.
But a lot of them are, I mean, like you were, I'm sure you were there too. Like we've heard someone literally preach against drinking a certain type of soda.
Yeah.
Not because the soda had done something necessarily wrong, but because there was something and something and something, and you were not quite holy enough if you drank this soda, which is mind-boggling. That's just stupid.
Which
that doesn't make any sense.
By the way, the specific soda he preached against was Pepsi, and one of the best preachers I know, Pepsi is his favorite pop. So take that.
And one of the best that ever lived favorite was made by Pepsi. So, because Dr. Pepper. So it's just there's so many things that are for the optics that it's wrong because you have no other purpose than the optics. So you have so you're talking about like when you're going back to Jeremy. When you are thinking, what is this guy doing? What is he up to? Is it only for the optics, or is it to showcase, hey, here's how stupid what you're doing is.
Yeah.
This is so stupid. And I'm going to showcase how stupid it is by doing something that's ridiculous. And then Jeremy's Razors wasn't necessarily ridiculous. It was funny. This one's ridiculous, right? This is ridiculous.
Which, by the way, did you see the announcement late last night?
Apparently not, because I can't think of anything special.
Yeah, 12 hours after Jeremy Boring's initial announcement on Twitter, they sold 100,000 units.
Oh, I did see that. I didn't know that was a thing. Yeah, yeah. Let's go. That it's ridiculous. But at what point does it become necessary ridiculousness? Because it almost feels necessary.
Yeah.
And that's depressing. It's depressing that feels like it needs to be legitimate. But it does. It feels like it needs to be legitimate, doesn't it? It feels like this needed to happen, and I hate that.
Well, see, and that I think is the problem right today, because technically you'd call what he was doing satire. But, But it's not, is it? Because satire is a very specific thing. Satire is to get your point across. You're taking the opposing viewpoint, or whatever thing you're talking about. You're taking that and inflating it to the point where it's a caricature of itself. But these things that are going on right now are already so out there that they're impossible to caricaturize. Like, if you just take what they say and read it back word for word verbatim, it sounds like a caricaturized statement about some person over here, but it's really just what they said.
Yeah, and first of all, I hate that you're saying caricature, so I'm just going to go ahead and point that out.
Okay, fine. Caricature.
Thank you. It goes so much deeper than that for me, because I hate that what Hershey did is absolutely ridiculous. It is ridiculous.
But it's not absolutely ridiculous.
Ridiculous. No. There's plenty. It's ridiculous. And then he responds with something that's ridiculous. Mm-hmm. And I haven't seen backlash from it yet, but mm-hmm. you know that there is. And you know mm-hmm. that it's going to be, ridiculously pumped up and whatever. It doesn't really matter. But it's mind-blowing to me that they can do something that ridiculous. Because here's the thing. Here's another reason why it's nothing but virtue signaling. Mm-hmm. Here's why. Mm-hmm. How many people that didn't buy Hershey's chocolate before are now going to buy it just because of this? How many do you think? I'll give you a hint. The answer rhymes with a D-row.
Well, hold on. How many people you said? How many people are that wouldn't have, or would that, or are that wouldn't have, or wouldn't that would have? I forgot.
An ad campaign is only there to push your product. It has no other purpose.
Okay. You're asking how many people would buy that wouldn't have already.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah. Absolutely none.
Yeah. There's zero chance. I refuse to believe it. You'll never, ever make me believe it. I just won't. Mm-hmm. They did not gain customers by doing this. And if you think that they would, you're out of your mind. You're absolutely out of your mind. That's just stupid. Because trust me, there's plenty of fat people out there that were already eating chocolate. I refuse to believe that they gained people by doing this. Mm-hmm. Okay, so they were trying to make a statement. Very much. So it clearly wasn't for customers. Mm-hmm. It clearly wasn't for money. So it's to make a statement. Okay, well, what's that statement? We tried harder than we had to so that we could find someone who showcased how strongly we are all in for this ideology.
The statement was basically, hey, everyone, Mars did it with the M&Ms, so now just letting you guys know it's officially our turn to put the blood on the door.
And it's just that's the thing. They're just trying to out virtue signal. And to be fair, they have definitely out virtue signaled because that was aggressive.
Yeah.
Now, I don't care. I should come back to my favorite thing of all this. I don't care about anything that any other company does. I don't give a crap. I still hold on to the libertarian deep inside of me. I don't give a crap what you do. Go do whatever you want. It's capitalism. If it makes you lose money, okay. You starved the machine and now you're paying for it. I don't care. But this one hit me harder than any other one has in a long time. Just because you had no other purpose. You were not trying to show goodwill. You weren't. You just weren't. You were not trying to be something different. You were not, other than just to show that you were different for the sake of saying that you were different, you were not trying to do anything other than say, look at us, we're better than these people because of what we did. And you had to try hard to do it. And we all know trying hard is cringe. So it's just stupid from top to bottom. And it's stupid for all the reasons why I hate a lot of things. I hate hypocrisy. I hate it very much. It bothers me more than almost anything else does. And that is... Say what?
I said it knows no bounds.
This is true. My own hypocrisy does not know any bounds. But I can't stand it. And I don't boycott things. I don't give a crap. I do not care. I did not burn my Nike shoes when everyone was like, oh, get rid of your Nike stuff because they're supporting a guy who supports things that we don't support. Okay, whatever. I didn't do it. I don't care.
Getting rid of Nike stuff that you already have is ridiculous and stupid. To refuse to buy any more makes perfect sense. But to say, I'm not going to support Nike, so I'm going to burn this. You already supported Nike. Like, if you just, because you don't want their logo, just, like, mark over it with a pen or something. But, I mean...
Yeah, people are stupid.
It's a good shirt.
But I'm not a boycotting individual. That I don't care enough to do it. And this one left in a bad enough taste in my mouth that I'm like, yeah, I'm not... I just can't... I can't, in good consciousness, go get a chocolate bar now. I really can't, because that bothered me. Not because it's a dude. Oh, you're so transphobic. Well, yeah, I am, but for legal reasons, that's a joke. But it genuinely hit me hard enough that I'm going to think about it every single time I'm in a candy aisle looking at a bar of chocolate. I really am.
I actually was transphobic one time. I was in my car and my transmission made a weird noise and I got scared.
You freaked out, yeah. Well, as
briefly phobic of my trans.
Our father once famously said, famously in a small group of people, there's no way I'm homophobic. There's no fag that scares me.
I liked that guy.
He was all right. But I don't know. That one really got to me. Because I feel like I found myself thinking about it all the time. Ever since it got announced, I thought about it a lot. And not for the reasons that they wanted you to think about it. And dude, I can't. I'm going to walk into a store sometime soon, and I'm going to see one of those insanely stupid Hershey bars. And I'm just going to, I'm going to think about it again, and I'm going to hate it. But we got to stop talking about this. We've been talking about it for forever, and I frankly can't stand it.
Yeah. I will say this though. I do think it's funny though, the people that do boycott things, right? I mean, I will, I'll not support companies that I don't want to support. Obviously.
I.e. capitalism, yeah.
Yeah. But it's really funny to me watching these people it's like, what? I'm not gonna, I don't like what Hershey's is doing and I'm not gonna support them anymore. I'll never buy another Hershey bar. I want me some chocolate. Give me that Reese cup and the Payday and oh, look over there. Is that Twizzlers? Give me a pack of them too.
I do appreciate that you made the correct voice for that scenario.
Yeah. It's like, well, you do realize that Hershey makes all those things too, right? But no.
Actually, we do understand that.
Yeah. But, yeah, no, my thing with boycotting is I don't, I might tell someone, say, hey, just so you know, this company's doing this, and let them decide. I'm not gonna go around saying, hey, we should all boycott this place. I'm gonna say, hey, this company is doing this. Do with that information what you will, But if I have boycotted companies, and it's in conversation, but I've never gone around and said, yeah, I'm doing that. I don't announce that I'm doing it. Just the most recent one was Walgreens. I don't go to Walgreens anymore. I'm not. Well, I say anymore. I wouldn't go to Walgreens at this point. But it was actually very funny because someone said something about Walgreens. I said, I don't really like Walgreens anymore. And I said, why? I said, well, I don't like that they started. I don't like that they started filling prescriptions for the abortion pill. That's not. I'm not a fan of that. And so I'm not gonna. And they said, oh, are you boycotting them? And my statement was, well, I kind of wish that I did shop there so I could. I was already accidentally boycotting them. I just don't go.
Can't really call it an active boycott. Yeah. I've never really been in one.
Yeah, but no, this is so the next. So I guess I'll talk about my thing then. Yeah, I didn't have too much to add to your thing, just because anything I would add would just have been redundant, or would have gotten too deep into stuff that we've already gone way too deep into many times before.
Yeah, and I think I do kind of want to clarify, clarify a point, but just to mention something here. Generally speaking, I'm the one who's a little bit tamer than you in all these conversations, because I sometimes I don't know if it's that I'm more measured or I talk about it more measured. I don't know. I don't know why this one got to me as much as it did, but this one really got to me. So I took over that a little more. Say what?
Might be because you're a little less autistic.
It's just a titch.
Just a tit less.
Just a tit less. Okay, so now that we're speaking of tits, go ahead.
Yes. Surprising you should mention that. I'm going to talk about a woman by name of Julissa Taller. Have you heard of her?
It doesn't sound familiar.
Okay. So, She
Wait, pause. Is this article the reason why you wanted to go down this direction this week?
yes.
So you read something, got pissed off, and then we're like, "Hey, Tyler, I'm angry.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that."
Yeah. So I didn't know what direction you would go with anger. You went down the grinds my gears kind of anger.
Yes. You know what really grinds my gears?
Yeah. I selected a different kind of anger. And I'll let you see what kind of angry I am when I say this. So this is Jaleesa Toller. Last year, she and her, I guess not husband, I guess they were common law married.
Okay.
But no paperwork or anything, and they were having a custody dispute over their son. And the man said, "Look, I want full custody of the boy." It said, "And I have these documents that show she is mentally unstable, that show she is a drug addict, and that show she is abusive. And I don't think the boy should be around that." And so
I'm going to go ahead and say that's fair.
yeah. And he said, "I would like custody." And I said, "Okay. Then we'll have a custody hearing. All those seem like fair arguments. And so we'll go ahead and turn him over to her for now, and then we'll have a custody hearing here in about a month."
Of course, logic. Yes.
Yeah. So they did that. And after those events, 6 days after those events, Jaleesa Toller killed her son, Eli Hart.
Yeah, I didn't see that coming.
Yeah. And there are a few things. I mean, just that alone gives me a certain level of murderous fury.
Yes.
But yeah, that just that right there. But it it does.
Oh wait, there's more?
Oh yeah, there is more. She so what she had done was she got him in the car, got him in his car seat, and he was 6 years old.
Oh, so about to say, okay. I was about to ask the age. Got it.
Yeah, 6 years old. Got him so I guess it was more like a booster, and she drove off away. And then she took a shotgun and shot him 9 times with it.
What?
Standard capacity for a shotgun is 4+1, which means she started off with 5 and had to reload for the other 4.
What?
Yeah. No, your anger is that makes me so mad when companies do this, and I wish they would stop. My anger is I wish she wasn't already in prison, or I would make a trip to Minnesota right now.
That is so okay. There's a lot to unpack there. Is there more to the story? I mean, that's plenty, but was there something else?
Well,
another nuance of that?
Well, so so what you put in, what I heard you say, then I started garbage. Then I said that was a prophetic statement.
Yeah.
On her sentencing hearing, of course, all the people gave the impact statement. I hope that Minnesota is not a death penalty state, only because she was sentenced to life in prison. And if they had the opportunity to give her the death penalty and failed to do so, I would that would be that
It would be a tragedy.
yes, a legitimate tragedy. But yeah,
I'm not being exaggeratory when I say it would be a tragedy that they did not kill this person.
I made a statement in a video that I do for one of my own things. I was talking about when violence is appropriate, it is the greatest moral good, and sometimes when violence is the moral good of that time, then a lack of violence is a moral evil. And I use the example of Kermit Gosnell, but I'm gonna use the example for Jaleesa Toller as well. The fact that she was not executed is a moral evil. But anyways, she but yeah, after all the impact statements, everyone talked about, you know, how horrible it was that their 6-year-old relative had died, and he was great and he was good and everything. And there was a lady named Josephine Josephson.
I hate her already.
Yeah, but yeah, and so they and then after everyone gave their impact statement, they said, "Okay, Miss Toller, you can address the court if you want. Like, you know, if you wish to speak, you can speak now." And she said, "Yes, I would like to make a statement. I'm innocent. Fuck you all. You're garbage."
So the death penalty.
Unfortunately, no. And I wasn't happy. I'm still not happy.
You know, okay, so let's go down the pathway that you started to go down with the to talk about the it is immoral. We'll just say immoral to not do violence in some scenarios. So people get really hung up on this, and I haven't the foggiest clue why. People don't understand, like, well, there shouldn't be a death penalty. There should be death. I'm like, okay, this is the scenario in which you kill someone. This person needs to die, and here is why. If they can do this, there's one of two things going on. They either are completely, irreversibly or near irreversibly insane, clinically insane, not me just making an over-dramatized statement, genuinely clinically insane. Or they're not, which means they are to the very core evil. To the very singular core evil. Either way, they do not need to be around at all. Why would anyone try to justify spending, I can't remember the newest figure of how much money it actually costs to keep a life in prison prisoner incarcerated. I don't remember the last numbers, but let's just go ahead and tell you it's a lot of money.
It's about 30 grand, 35 grand a year.
Yeah, that we have to pay, that taxpayers have to pay for. I mean, the jails aren't generating revenue. They used to. They do not anymore. Because apparently that's inhumane, which is hilarious to me.
Even the Constitution allows for it, except as punishment for a crime. That caveat is in there. You can enslave prisoners.
Good. But at any rate, kill them. These people need to be dead. They just do. You cannot ever come up with an argument that I will ever even remotely not laugh in your face of for you to say they don't deserve. Well, everyone deserves a second chance. No, they don't. No, they don't. They don't. And this is the part where you have the intersection of you try to say Christian morals versus because technically speaking, if we're trying to speak broadly of a society, we do have to make a comment about Christian morals versus societal morals. Now, should they be the same? I don't think that's a discussion based on what we're doing, but you and I have different opinions on that other people would. Yada, yada, yada. Christian morals versus societal morals, because we just live in that world. So, if you have someone who is so completely misaligned with society's moral, with the accepted morals of society, which is don't shoot your 6-year-old 9 times with a shotgun. Well, just as an example.
Yeah, that's a fair one, I think.
It's a pretty good example.
We can start there.
We'll start there. If you are okay with doing that, then you don't belong in society. Now, that's the reason why we have a jail system, right? People who are okay with doing things that fit outside of what we find acceptable for society, that hurt members. Yeah, temporary restrainment, temporary incarceration for them to learn their lesson. We have learned several things over the course of being humans. 1, it almost never works. 2, it almost never works. So, if we have short-term things for not bad problems, okay, cool. Some people actually do reform, or at the very least, shape up or ship out.
Recidivism was lowered in the age of corporal punishment.
Say what?
Recidivism was lower in the age of corporal punishment.
This is very, very true.
When instead of jail time, it was just beatings and then it was over with. So it's just this. Instead of, hey, look, we're going to put you in jail for years. They said, hey, look, we're going to take you outside. We're going to beat you. Then you're welcome back in society. No questions asked. You're good. And recidivism
But wait
is lower.
until we beat you.
Yeah, we have to beat you first, though. We have to beat
Like, hold on. You're getting beat. When that's there people are like, well, that's inhumane. Okay, well then find a different way again, because this one doesn't work. But either way, now we're getting into the Chicago whole thing.
Yeah.
Thank goodness she's gone. Moving on. The point is, if the transgression is so severe that it essentially means this person is decently likely to commit a heinous crime that ends the life of a human being who's completely innocent and has no remorse, kill them. I'm not even gonna. I know people like to use the better verbiage and be like they don't like to say, "Oh, murder," or no, kill them. You want to call it murder? You can call it murder. I don't care. Kill them.
Yeah.
No. Call it whatever you want, as long as they're dead.
Yeah. No. I said this. I said this to my wife. I said, people always talk about. I said, you can't just do that. You can't just kill someone and it not leave an impact on you. I said, no, you can't accidentally kill someone, leave an impact on you. You can't kill someone who you were in some doubt, or an innocent person, or someone who there may be some doubt, like, did I have to kill that person, or, it's whatever. But people like that, I can promise you, I wouldn't lose a minute of sleep.
I can't imagine. I don't know that I would either. I mean, like, you want to put yourself in a legitimate spot where you're like, how would I legitimately feel? What would legitimately happen? Surely I'd be affected. I don't think I would. They're like, well, then you have to be the one to pull the trigger. Then hand me the gun.
Yeah, I would take care of business. I would go get a snack, and then I would go home and sleep like a baby.
Man.
That's.
I had another comment there. What was it?
I don't know.
What was it?
I'm not sure.
I feel like I was going to make a legitimate point.
But yeah, no, that's actually something that I had that I had talked about, and I did pick the thumbnail for this video just to rile people up a little bit, and I did.
Oh, with the gun. Yeah, with the gun.
Yeah, but that's it's something that I had that I'd been over. It's like it's this. Violence is either appropriate or it's not appropriate. If it's appropriate, it's likely the greatest moral good in the time, and sometimes refusing to do violence could even be a moral evil in the time when violence is appropriate. Also, when violence is not appropriate, it's likely the greatest of the moral evils in that time. And that's why the appropriate that's why murder is so bad. In that moment, it was not appropriate, and it is the greatest moral evil. You did the worst thing you could have possibly done in that moment. And you've officially done the most evil thing, and now the most good thing is just punishment. Just punishment for violence is violence, and to the same scale that it was. Did you end or ruin someone's life? Then, then we end your life. It's I think it's fair to say that to just ruin someone's life is not just punishment. So like, if I went up to you and I ripped your legs off and you can never walk again, or I raped you and now you're going to have trouble finding a husband, something like that, I ruined your life in either of those cases. Now is the just well, how can the law appropriately ruin my life? It really can't, not appropriately. So the only appropriate thing in either of those cases is to end my life. So if I rip off your legs and ruin your livelihood, if I rape you and ruin your possible potential in the future for doing that, and now I've ruined your life completely. Now I deserve to die. Same thing, if I end your life, I deserve to die.
Yeah, and I remember the 2 points that I was wanting to make now. Back in certain ancient Roman times, there was less murder than there is now across the world, by and large. And there's a very specific reason why. When you murdered someone, and different part. I don't know if it was across the entire Roman Empire. I'm not going to pretend to know that much. But there was a time where what they would do is take the body of the person you murdered, and they would chain, tie, whatever, it to you, nose to nose, hand to hand, foot to foot. And you would eventually die over whatever long period of time that the maggots eating the dead person ate you, or you died of whatever else or killed yourself, which, to be fair, would probably seem like a legitimate option. If you knew that the punishment for what you were doing was actually going to affect your life, you would think more about the crime. So this is the problem with selling drugs, gangbanging, all this kind of stuff. If you know that you're going to spend months or a year or whatever in prison, and then when you come out, you're going to be even higher thought of by the people you were doing this with, why would you ever not do it? Why would you ever even pause to think? You're making money, you're doing what you want, your group of peers thinks that you're awesome. Why would you ever stop stealing from people and hurting people? Why? If they said, hey, here's the deal. You're selling drugs. You're ruining people's lives. You were in there doing that, and you went to jail. You came out of jail. You did it again. So as far as we can tell, you don't care. So our society cares that this is happening. We don't want it to happen. So we only can think of one other way to get you to freaking stop.
Dun, dun, dun.
You're gonna die now. We're going to kill you. The state is going to kill you. And then they killed somebody. And then they're like, oh, this is legitimate. We should stop.
Bring back public hangings.
Bring back public hangings. Like, hey, you see this guy dangling by the throat until death from strangulation? You know what he did? He did the thing that you're doing right now. You still want to do it? Because we'll do this to you too. We absolutely will. We absolutely will. And it brings me back to my favorite response to the stupidest statement of all time. There is the question why Batman doesn't kill people. And Batman famously says to whoever he's talking to, if I kill a murderer, there's still the same number of murders in the world. The greatest answer to this is given by the Punisher. Because the same question was asked of him. If you kill a murderer, isn't there still the same number of murderers? And he says, not if I kill 100 of them. And that's the answer.
Oh,
that's the answer. If you kill all of the people murdering people, all willy-nilly, you know what? There's fewer murderers.
Yeah.
By definition, there's less of them now. You know why? You killed them all. They're done murdering people.
Yeah. And speaking of murdering people, if I'm ever on the jury in a case where where like some case, like say, a little girl gets raped and the dad goes and kills her rapist, and now the dad is on trial. There is something, and it's a real thing. You can look it up. The court is not allowed to tell you about this. Legally, the court isn't, like, it's not like they don't. Like, the court does not have the right to tell you that this thing exists. But it does exist, and I think it's good that the court doesn't have the right to tell you that, because then it would kind of be, it would cause chaos if everyone just immediately knew about it. Or if the court gave it as an option, it would imply that the court wanted this to happen, and the court can't do that. They have to be impartial. So I understand why the court can't tell you about it, but it's a real thing. It does exist, and you can look it up. It's been confirmed by Supreme Court cases even. But I would be sure, and so I found out, okay, so yeah, you killed this man. Why did you kill him? He raped my daughter. Okay, and that's all you need to know. Then I would immediately go and go with my fellow jurors, and I would inform them of a privilege that juries have. Have you ever heard of jury nullification?
I feel like I've heard the term, but I definitely don't know what it means.
Jury nullification is a privilege that juries have to, on a case-by-case basis, nullify individual laws by delivering a verdict of not guilty, even though the evidence proved beyond reasonable doubt that the defendant was guilty.
Oh yeah, I would for sure do that.
Yeah, and I would inform all my juries of that legal right, all my fellow jurors of the legal right that juries have to do that. And then if they say, well, I don't know about that, if we can do this, and my response would be this: okay, I intend to use my right to jury nullification, and I will deliver a verdict of not guilty. If anyone in this room determines that they want to deliver a verdict of guilty, I promise you I will hang this jury, because I will not vote guilty, and my vote will only be for not guilty.
Like, how long would you like this to last?
Yeah, like if you're interested in a retrial by hung jury, that's on you. But I say we go out there and vote not guilty.
That's my all-time, my hero as far as for father figures.
Yeah, what was his name?
I don't remember his name. We're both thinking of the same guy.
Absolutely.
The guy who essentially, so his son was kidnapped by this guy, raped and molested by this guy, and the father found out when they were extraditing him back to his area. He got where he was waiting, where they knew they would walk him by. And then he shot him in the face.
Do you know how perfect of a shot it was?
Oh, it was beautiful. You can see it on the camera.
Yeah. Oh no, here's how perfect of a shot it was. The bullet went in his ear.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. And because he knew for a fact they'd find him guilty, and he knows what the penalty for being found guilty of raping and molesting a child, which is not being dead.
Yeah.
And you know what he needed to be? Dead. He needed to be dead. So he's like, well, you know what? I guess it's me.
Yeah.
And thankfully, he didn't go to jail for all that long, because everybody's like, yeah, no, this is fine.
Oh, do you know exactly what happened?
I do, but I've forgotten.
So he went to trial. The jury found him guilty. And the judge sentenced him to community service.
Yeah. What would have been great is if the judge was like, your community service shall be teaching gun safety courses 3 days a week.
Oh, it was fantastic. But yeah, we personally know a guy who raped and molested a certain.
Oh, never mind. I thought you were going to talk about the Mercurios guy.
No. Yeah, I'm going to pay him a visit whenever I come visit you guys. But no,
as well, you should. The pizza's delicious.
Yeah, but no, we personally know a guy who raped and molested a handful of children, and then he killed himself after that. And I made the statement. I said, on a spiritual level, I am deeply saddened that he killed himself. That is the way he died. That is, I'll put it that way. Because when you take that action, you leave yourself no space for repentance. And so there are severe eternal consequences, and no matter how deserving you are of anything at any point, it saddens me to know of those eternal consequences. But that said, though, the appropriate punishment for what he did was death, and in the state he lived in, what he did would not have carried the penalty of death. And so I am glad that he did that for that reason, because now that is the only way that true justice would have been served, unless he was killed in prison. Which was likely.
You can see the state that he was in. It was decently likely.
Yeah, very, very likely. But yeah, no, he and so for those reasons, I and so so it was but yeah, because people say, oh no, he killed himself. Now the family doesn't have a chance for closure and justice. He got his own way. No, he didn't. We got our way. He died. That's what we wanted.
And I'd never deem to speak for the family of anything like that, because obviously I don't know what that's like.
Well, the closer
I don't know
family.
What that's. Yeah. Say what?
The closer family.
Yeah, I won't deign to speak for those particular people, but I mean, finding out about that, because again, without giving out any kind of details, this is someone that we actually looked up to.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll tell you how closely connected we were. We're not going to say how we were actually connected to the perpetrator himself, but we'll say that one of the girls that he raped was our sister. So
Yeah.
just so you know how closely connected we are to it. Just so you know.
Yeah, and it's someone that's not. I mean, and I said we looked up to him. I mean, there was an entire community of people that looked up to him very highly.
Yeah.
So just shows to go that you don't necessarily know somebody. But yeah, even being that close to him, like, yeah, you know what? No, that's you gotta die. You gotta die.
Yeah.
You just do.
It couldn't happen to a nicer guy.
Couldn't have. But we digress.
Yeah, digress.
Oh, there's two jokes.
Yeah. Anyways, do you want to call it short, or do you want to find something to talk about for 10 minutes?
I don't know. I don't know that we need to talk about anything else. That was pretty. I think we got a little bit more aggressive than we normally do.
Yeah, well, when there are people who deserve to die, I like to fantasize about them dying. Yeah, no,
Well, you know.
yeah, and that's the thing though. Like, people have made that statement. I'm going to go in here. I've not said it on here. I've said it in my I've said it on YouTube, and I've said it in a personal capacity a number of times, but I've not said it on here. So I'd like to get this clarified. People say, now you guys have established yourselves as Christians before, so why are you talking about wanting people dead? Is that not unchristian of you to want people dead? Doesn't Jesus say to love everyone and blah 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 blah, and to hate people is wrong, and to be angry at them? Of course, it says be angry at them without cause. I have pretty good cause to be angry right now, so that's where the anger, how the anger is justified. But then it said if you hate someone it's the same as if you've killed them, and you have to love everyone. I'm going to talk about what love is real fast and how these things are reconcilable. To love everyone means to wish the good for everyone. If I love you, I wish the good for you, which means that something that is an objective good for you may not be something that you want. Like, I love my kids, so I discipline them, so I make them eat good things, so I don't let them play with matches. But they don't like that I do those things. Just the other day, I took a lighter away from my son, and he was not happy about it. But I did it because it was good for him that he did not have that lighter. It's the same thing. To love someone is to wish their good. Now, here's the thing, too. Any objective moral good is good for all parties involved, which means that if there is a crime that has been committed, an injustice that has been done, and justice is served, justice is a moral good. And sometimes justice involves violence or execution. Sometimes the execution of justice is execution.
It do be like that.
Yeah. And so, but an objective moral good is good for all parties involved, which means that not only do I love the innocent person by punishing the guilty, it's also showing love to the guilty because it's an objective moral good. So an objective moral good is even good for him. So I'm doing and wishing his good in addition to doing and wishing the good of the victims, which means that I can legitimately strap an evil murderer to the electric chair and throw the switch, knowing that I'm doing good and I can love him the entire time I'm doing it.
Yeah.
So yes, it is not unchristian to wish just punishment on people. It is not unchristian to hope that they are punished in a way that up to and including death. It's actually very Christian to wish appropriate punishment to be inflicted on people. Now, to say, I want you dead and I want to be the one to do it because I want to kill you, that's now that's going into vengeance, and that's not a great thing. It's because you're out of anger, you want to do the thing. But you say, this person deserves to die. If I have to be the one to do it, so be it. But he needs to die, and that'll happen. That's a little bit different. But yeah, anyways. Yeah. I suppose that's it.
Okay. Suppose it is.